Okay, let's start off this week's first PowerPoint with some basic Linux commands. And the reason why we are so, forceful with knowing Linux as an operating system is because it is key in cybersecurity and malware analysis. And for example, it is a fact that most cybersecurity tools, the best ones, are in fact run on Linux. Okay, it is possible that you can utilize the same tools on Windows 11. I believe between you and me that Windows 11 is a fantastic operating system. I mean, I can actually prove it if you actually can rationalize the fact that an app that has more dollars invested in it is probably going to be better than an app that has no dollars invested in it. Then you could probably be rest assured that Microsoft 11 is at least as good as, or maybe even better in some points than Linux. I'm going to admit that because Microsoft, as a company, as an enterprise, has really been the predominant player in an operating system for hosts. Now, a host, if you can consider, and you can, I guess, label what a host is. A host, it can be either a server, or more aptly for Microsoft Windows purposes, it can be a server, or it can be for an individual user, such as a home user. So you can take even like like the traditional Windows XP, or Windows 7 or Vista or Windows 10 or 11. You can install XAMPP, and then bam, all of a sudden you have metamorphosized your personal computer into an actual industrial grade PC, or industrial grade server. So, in other words, I'm not discounting how good Linux, or excuse me, Microsoft is. So I'm not downgrading the benefit of Microsoft, Windows. However, when it comes to, I guess you could say, net ops purposes or cybersecurity purposes, I would probably say for that singular purpose, Linux is superior than Windows. Because, for example, Linux Kali, which is a distribution of Linux brought to us by a company called Offensive Security. They specialize in creating Linux distributions that, I'm going to say, comes with a whole host of pre-installed and pre-configured and here is the kicker, or here's the main event, if you will, the cherry on top. They have been pre-optimized for that Kali system. Now, those of you are like, well, wait a second, we're not using Kali Linux. You're telling us to use Debian. And the reason why I'm telling you to use Debian is because it does force us to install certain tools. And for that reason, I think for our learning purposes, Debian is superior to Kali. But that being said, all versions, all flavors of Linux are used in malware analysis, network forensics, and as we'll find out, incident response. So, in terms of malware analysis, we've already seen how we can utilize, for example, the string command, if you will, for our purposes. And then, of course, when it comes to network forensics, we've seen that we can use commands such as IPAdder. We can use commands such as ifconfig to really see where we stand in the network. And then we'll talk more about incident response. So let's take a look at, as they say, understanding the Linux terminal. So as we see in from the PowerPoint, it's used for navigation, analysis, and monitoring. And let's bring up. Oh, you know what? I should have done something a little bit different. Let me see if I can make this a little bit smaller. And yeah, I can. So let's go ahead and pop in our password because Linux is a super duper is really protected by default. So it will naturally default to the pause screen, and then it forces us to put in our password, and we can see a lot of junk right here. So your very first terminal command, believe it or not, is going to be clear, CLEAR, which clears the current screen. Okay, so now we have an empty screen, and we can move on to the next slide in our PowerPoint, and we have PWD that shows our current directory. So we can say PWD right here, and we can see I'm in the directory of Jason, home/Jason. So if you're wondering where exactly is this directory in relation to the overall Linux filing system, and so if we change directory, but we want to go up in our directory, because if we do, like, let's say we can go in, if we change directory into if we do ls and then home / Jason, we can see that we can get into other directories within Jason. So we want to go to downloads. We can say change directory to downloads, and now we're in downloads. But what if we want to get back up to our home directory? Because if we did present working directory, now we're in home Jason downloads. Now what if we want to get back up to the upper dictionary into the upper downloads? We can see that we are back in our home Jason. But what was this? This is CD with 2 periods. So if we want to do if we want to mimic our old change directory command, notice I am pushing the upper button, which allows us to recycle old commands using the history button. So if we use the history command, we can see all of our history right here, and we can see that command 223 was in fact history. The command before that was PWD, and so on and so forth. And let me just move this up so you can see. So let's do CD, or excuse me, let's do the command we ran prior, CD, change directory into the upper directory. Now I'm in the home directory, so now we want to go back. So let's change directory, go to Jason, and we can do PW, present working directory again, and go back to home Jason. Now let's say we said, wait a second, what is beyond the home directory? Well, that is like the root directory. So to get up to the to back to where we were before, just the home, we can do double periods, or this command, double periods and /, and that gives us to the home directory again. Now to get us to the default directory, all we have to do is press CD or change directory. Now if we want to see the root directory, we say CD ::/ again / and then to get to the root directory, we do : / again, and let's do ls. Now this is like literally the root directory. Okay, and so if we did a visualization of what the root directory is, it would actually be, well, actually, let's do a check right now. Let's go into our browser here in Linux for the heck of it, and let's go just make sure we are in google.com. I like just going to Google, and let's do image of Linux root directory. And let's see, here's a good image right there. And let's go to visit, and Let's see, where is okay? This is the basically your vanilla flavored Linux root directory. We have the root right here, and we have root bin, root etc, home, opt, temporary, user, and var. Okay, so var includes variable data, most notably log files, etc system configuration files. Bin is binaries, and the directory, the front slash is just the directory known as root. So we have etc, bin, temp, and that's just the vanilla Linux distribution. Now, as you can see here, this has many of the same vanilla folders right here, but remember, every Linux distribution, including Debian, is a little bit different than other distributions, so you might see some small differences right here, but that is the root of the file.